Hey guys, and welcome back to another brand new YouTube video. And in this video, we're going to build up a Django project which basically tracks product prices. So we're going to track the price of products in an e-commerce website, and the e-commerce website is Jumia. So Jumia is a popular website here in Africa or in Nigeria or West Africa, I guess. So basically, we're going to learn how to authenticate users. We're going to build a basic user authentication system. We're also going to learn how to automate tasks in the background in Django, so like you can run specific functions, let's say every 5 minutes, every hour at the background. And we're also going to learn how to add static files to our website. We're going to style our website and things like that. So basically, a user can enter the URL to the product and enter the price that he or she wants to track. So if the price falls below that maximum price that the user imputed, is going to go ahead and send the user an email saying, hey, you can now check out this product because the price has reduced to this certain amount. So let me show you guys a preview. So I'm going to search for BM800, which is a condenser microphone. So here I'm basically going to so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the URL. I'm going to copy the URL now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this search here. And now I'm going to enter the URL here, and I'm going to enter the maximum price. So let me enter the maximum price. So the price is 21,000, but I'm just going to enter 20. The price is 20,000, but I'm going to enter 21,000 to send us the email, and we're able to see the email that it sends. So we're going to wait for the email to send. So here you can see that the email have been sent, and it says okkbranson2006@gmail.com. So this is the account that I registered with the website to send emails. So here it says hi Branson, which is the username of my account, and it says your product HTTPS whatever that you set to track has now reduced to 20,000. So it's always going to automate this task and call that function to be checking all the prices of all the users, or all the prices of all the products that every user in the website sets to track. So it works for multiple users, and here you can see it redirected me to the product. So if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more content like this, please smash the like button, and please show me some support by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And please stick around and let's get right into it. Yeah, so to get started with the project, we're going to have to create a Django project here. So I'm going to open up my command prompt in this directory here. So basically to create a project, you basically just have to do Django. Oh, okay. So if you don't actually have Django installed, how you can install it is just do pip install Django. And this will go ahead and install the latest version of Django for you. But I already have mine installed, so I'm just going to basically cancel that. And to create the Django project, you're just going to have to do Django admin start project and the name of your project. So I'm basically just going to name it Jumia Price Tracker. So Jumia Price Tracker, and let's click enter. Let me minimize this or remove that. And here you can see the folder Jumia Price Tracker. And inside Jumia Price Tracker, you can see manage.py, and again Jumia Price Tracker, and all these files here. So now what I want to do is I want to open up my Visual Studio Code. I want to open up this folder with the Visual Studio Code, which is my text editor here. And now that I've opened it up now, so now that it's open, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna open up the terminal here, and this time I want to create an app. And basically a project consists of multiple apps, and apps are just like components which form the project. So app handle specific tasks in the website or in the project. So now let's create an app here. So I'm basically just gonna type Python manage.py, and basically I just want to start app. So if I want to start the app, I have to specify the name of the app, and I'm going to call it users. So we're going to create an app users, and users is basically just going to handle the users here. So I've created that there, and this is how it is. And if you go here, you can see users app here. So I'm going to start by creating the user authentication first before we go into creating doing the web scraping part and everything. So I want to have my users set up first so that whenever we are dealing with other commands and other app, the other app there where we are dealing with our database and our models, we can basically just connect our users to the uh, to the kind of the web scraping part. So the first thing you're gonna have to do, go to your apps.py, grab this users config, and I'm gonna copy that. And now I'm gonna go to my Jumia price tracker, go to the settings.py, and we scroll down, and here you can see installed apps. So now you have to let Django know that you created an app and you want it to add that to the installed apps to be aware of the apps. So I'm gonna give it users. So the name of our app is users. I'm gonna do users here. So you're gonna do users.apps. So you gotta do users.apps, and this apps is basically just this apps.py. Then here you're gonna do dot users config. So that is how to just configure your app here. And now that we're done there, I'm gonna go to my users, and basically we're gonna have to create a form. So we want our user to be able to register to the website, and we want to provide the user with a form to fill in. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna create a file which is basically gonna be forms.py. And now that I've created the forms.py, we have to start writing some code inside it. So I'm gonna do from Django. I just basically want to import form, and I'm gonna import form there. And after that, I'm gonna do from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models. I basically just want to import user. So this is how you can grab the user's model in Django itself. So now that I've grabbed the user model, now what I want to do is I want to create a class, which is basically going to be called user register form. Let me just call it that. And after that, okay, so I just remember that we have to make another import here. So we're going to do from Django dot contrib dot auth dot forms. Here we're going to have to import user creation form. Where is it? Okay, it's here. So these are going to be the things that we're going to have to import to get started to create our forms.py. So here we can see class user register form, and this is basically just going to inherit from user creation form. So we want you to inherit from that attribute there, the attribute that user creation form has. And we just want to make some small changes there. So what we want to do is we want to create an email field, because surely we're gonna need to have an email whereby whenever it tracks the price, you want to send an email to the user that okay, your specific product that you're tracking has reduced and you should go purchase it now. So we're surely gonna need an email, the user's email, to send that email to the user basically. So I'm gonna do email. So this is basically gonna be the email field, and email should basically be equal to forms dot email field, and this is how you can create the email field. And after that, I'm just basically gonna do class meta. So class meta. So meta just basically going to override or change some certain things from the class that it is inheriting from. And it is basically inheriting from user's creation form. As I told you, we're going to make some small changes. So what do we want to change from the user creation form? Basically, I'm just going to do sorry about that. So I'm going to do models should basically be equal to user. So this is the model that we want to be making changes to. So model should be equal to user. And here basically want to do fields should basically be equal to, and what are the fields basically? We want the fields to be username. So whenever you're creating your accounts, you surely want to have a username there. And we want to have a password. So we're going to do password 1. And password 1, what did I just do wrong there? Just hold on, guys. Okay, so I suppose close that there. Okay, so you're gonna have your password 1, and we're as well gonna have our password 2, which is just basically just gonna like whenever you go to a website or you want to register for an account, you input your password and later they ask you to re-enter your password to make sure there was no mistakes there. So that's why we just put password 2 there. So after that, this is basically everything for our forms.py. And now let's go to our views.py inside the users. So remember that we created this forms.py inside the users app, and let's go to the views.py there. And now let's just try importing our form. So we're basically going to do from.forms. I basically just want to import user register form, so which is what we created here in our forms.py here. So now that I've imported a class, let's make use of it. So I'm going to define a function which is basically just going to be register. So this is basically just going to be the function that's going to handle the registration for our users. And this is basically going to handle the backend, and the forms is just the forms.py basically just going to provide us with that form there. So I'm going to do register, and this is basically going to take a parameter of request, which is like what it has to take whenever you're dealing with Django views. It takes a parameter request, and here in the request, I'm going to do if request dot post. So if we're getting a post request, what I basically want to do is I want to say form should be equal to user register form. What I do, user register form. So we want to get user register form, and we basically just want to pass request dot post. So is this going to be form should be equal to user register form request dot post, and that means that if we're getting a request dot post, that means that let's say the user clicked the button, that is like a post request. So if we're getting a post request, basically we want to treat the form as a request dot post. We want to treat it as if it has been submitted and all those kind of things. So here I want to basically do if form dot is valid. So here we're trying to check that if everything that we pass in is correct. So what I mean by dot is valid, that's basically the validation, and it's going to make sure that we pass in a username that is valid, whereby no user in the database have used this username to create an account before, and the password 1 matches with the password 2, and the user inputted a correct email, which is not just basically a text, but it has to be an email, a valid email there. So it's going to make all those validations. We're going to try and check for that, for errors, and if everything works out perfectly fine, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and save our form. So that is what we basically want to do there. We go ahead and basically just save the form there. So here I'm also going to do else. So that means that if we don't get a post request, that means maybe we get a get request or anything. What we want to do is we still want to provide the user with a form, but this time the user, we're not going to treat the form as if it was created, as if we want to submit the form, but this time we're going to treat it the way that it's going to be empty, and we're going to provide the user with an empty form to input data. So that's what we want to do here. So I'm going to do form should be equal to user register form, and that is basically everything there. And at the end, I want to return a render request. So I'm going to return render, which is basically just going to handle a going to output whatever I want to do to a HTML file. So to a HTML file there. So render is going to take a parameter of request, which is the first thing you have to pass there, which is this request we are receiving. And after that, it's going to return render request, and here we have to pass in the name of our template. The name of our template. So here I'm basically just going to do users / I think I should just name it register.html. So here I'm going to do users / register.html, and here I'm just basically going to do context. So we're going to create a dictionary context, which is basically going to handle the things that we want to pass into our template. So I'm going to create a dictionary, and basically I'm going to say form should be form. So the key is form, and the value is basically form. So here we can give it any name, forms, and here we can just pass in context. But I'm just going to stick around to form since we're not having multiple forms. So I'm just better to use form alone like that. So after that, I'm going to go to my users where we are, and I'm going to create a folder. And the folder, I have to name it template. So you're going to give it a name template, and inside that template, you have to give it a name with the you have to give it the exact name with the apps you're working on. So I'm under the users app here. Oh, here the users app. So I have to give it templates, and inside templates I have to create a folder called users. So inside users, I'm going to go ahead and create a file, which is basically this register.html. So I'm going to do register.html, and as you can see, we have created the HTML file. And here we're going to do some basic importations and stuff like that. So I don't mean importation, sorry about that. I have to do my the basic HTML tags that we're going to need to have. And inside the HTML, we got to do head tags. And here we're going to do the body tag. And this is just the basic thing we're going to have to do there. So after that, here in the register.html, what I'm going to do is in the body tag, I'm basically just going to get a h1, which is basically for the heading. And for the heading, I'm going to pass in you can sign up an account. You can sign up an account. Okay, let's just say register an account today. So let's register an account today, and I'm going to remove this sign up there. So register an account today, that is basically going to be the heading tag there. And here we want to create a form. So a form there, and basically what the form is going to have is we're going to do a method to be equal to post. So the method here should be a post request. So that's going to be post. And after that, inside form, what I want to do is I want to call my form. What am I doing? Caps lock. So I'm going to call the form. And what is our form? If we go to our views.py, I told you that we're passing this context. And context is just the basic things that we want to use to transmit some information in the views or in our function to the HTML template so that we can work with that. So what is basically the form? The form is this, our form here, where form is equal to user register form. And that is from our forms.py, which is basically this class form that we use to register an account for a user. So from there, I'm going to go to my register.html, and here you can see form. So that's going to render out form. And here I have to create a button. So that means that we want to provide the user with a button to click at the end. So I'm going to type should be equal to submit. And I'm going to give it a text, which is basically going to be submit. Or I don't know if I should make it capital. Yeah, let's just make it like the submit or small letter submit. So that is going to basically be the text there. And when we're dealing with a form in Django, we have something called CSRF token. So that is basically just for security reasons. So if we run our server and we try to input something, it's going to give us an issue because there's no CSRF token. And that is just basically for security reasons. So to avoid that issue there, what you have to do is just go here and do CSRF token. And that's going to resolve any issue for you that you're going to be having in the future. So CSRF token, and that will resolve that for you. So after that, I'm gonna go to this what I want to do. I want to go to my Jumia price tracker here, and basically here I'm gonna go to the what should I go? Okay, to the urls.py. So now I want to add the path to this our views.py there. So I'm basically just gonna do from, okay, not from, but here I'm gonna create a path, and the path is basically just gonna be register. So whenever we go to our domain name /register, we want to be taken to a path there. So what is the path there? Where do we want to be redirected to whenever we do domain name /register? What we want to do is we want to render out a template or a function, a view there. So we're going to render out, I'm going to do from users. So from users dot views, I basically want to import register. So here I want to give it a view register, and this is going to have a name. So I'm going to do name should be equal to register view. So I'm just going to give it a name of register view. You can name it any name, but I like giving it the same name with the function with a hyphen and just calling it view, since it's just a view and it's basically called register. So this is how I just name it. You can give it any name you like. So after that, I want to create a login view, a logout view. Since when a user registers, the user has to surely log in, and the user really want to log out at some point. So we're going to do path. Or I think let me just make the imports first before I do that. So we're going to make some imports for that, and Django already provides us with the logging out and logging in view of that kind of function for us. So we're basically going to import that from Django dot contrib, I think dot auth dot views, I guess. Or should I? Okay, yeah, from views I would basically want to import login. Sorry about that. I want to import login view and logout view. So these are the basic things we want to import there. And here in the path, I'm basically just going to do for login forward slash. Remember your forward slash there. It's not really necessary, but just add it there. And here we are going to do for login, we want to get a view. So which is basically going to be login view. So I'm going to do login view dot as view. So remember to give it dot as view so that it will work, because this is actually a class. So we want to call the function dot as view so that it will treat it as a view. So after that, here dot as view, we have been able to do that. And let me just go ahead and copy for the other one before I add something else there. So this one is basically going to be logout. And here in login dot as view, we have to pass in some things to this login dot. Oh, I don't think we're gonna. Okay, so here we're gonna do template name. I'm not sure. I can't remember if we're gonna have to pass something else there. But if we run into any issues, I will go back there and know what we're gonna do there. So let's just continue with what we're doing. So I'm gonna say template name. So template name should basically be equal to. I'm going to pass in the name of the template, whereby it has to render out something, just like we did here in our register.html. So we want to register render out something, and we're going to give it the path to the HTML file, or to the file that we want to render out. So I'm going to basically do users. So in this our template folder, in the users here, we want to render out login.html. Don't worry, we're going to create that file in a second here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this as well. Since there's just some few things we're going to have to change, which is just basically going to be users slash logout. So those are going to be the files we're going to need. And this is going to be logout. What did I do there? This is going to be logout view that has view template name is equal to users logout of HTML. So this is the basic thing we're going to have to do there. And after that, let's go to our template users and let's create a file, which is basically going to be login.html, and let me create logout.html. So here in the login.html, logout.html, basically here in the register, I'm just going to copy everything here, though we're not going to use everything here, but okay, I think we're gonna have to use everything. So here I'm basically gonna do login into an account, login into your, let's leave it login. We just say login an account today, or login an account. And here we're basically gonna remove form and submit. So this is just basically what we want to do, almost the same as there as the register. And now for the logout, I'm basically just gonna copy everything, whereby we're not gonna use anything here. Just the h1 tag there. So we're basically just going to tell the user that you have been logged out. So let's say you have been logged out. So you have been logged out, and that is what we just want to inform the user. And I think that should just be everything for that. And let's just try running our code to see if we run into any issues there. So here I'm basically gonna do Python sorry, Python manage.py. Let me just move that up here. So I'm gonna run Python manage.py, run several, but we're gonna have to run Python manage.py migrate first, so that we can create our database files and make all the necessary migrations that you're gonna need to save any changes or those kind of things. Okay, so we have an issue here, which is basically path, got an expected keyword, argument, template name. Okay, so that is in the urls.py, whereby I said, well, I might be wrong there. So what I think is that I think this has to go inside here, which I believe so. Then let's move this inside the views, dot as view, sorry. So let's move that inside, and yeah, I think that should be it. And let's just give it a name. I think that this should work perfectly fine. So name should not be equal to logout, and here I'm just gonna give it wait, okay, yeah, so here gonna be logout, and this place is supposed to be login, not logout. So let's try running that again, and I hope everything works well. So okay, so everything is working well now. As you can see, it's applying the necessary things that you have to do. And now let's do Python manage.py, run server. Let me bring that up so that you guys can see. Python manage.py, run server. Let's click enter, and let's run the development server there. So as you can see, it's running, and I'm gonna open up that in my open up here, and here we have some URLs, which is basically the logout, the login, and the register. So now let's go to the register/register. Let's go there and let's see how it looks like. So here we have an issue, which is model form has no class. Model form has no model class specified. So here we're having an issue, model form in the register. Let's go there and let's check the issue. So I think that's from our views.py. Let me just look at this. So register if request.post. We're gonna do form should be equal to user register form, and if form context. Okay, let's go to the forms.py and let's check if we have any issues there. So fields should be equal to this. Models, I think, let me just remove this here. I think this has to be model, not models. So I think that should be model. Let's try refreshing the server. Now let me try going here again, and let's see if everything is gonna work well. So you can see that everything is working well for us. And here we have our register an account today, the username, and everything here. So I believe that you guys might be thinking, why is the UI very bad? There are no designs. We might add a design where I have one file with some basic design, which is not a lot of designs, but just to make it look a bit better. And you can actually add your own designs, and I'll teach you how to add CSS files in Django, which is using the static files and stuff like that. We'll do that right away now. So let me just create an account. Or okay, first of all, let me just create a super user whereby we'll be able to log in into as an admin, and there we're able to check the user's presence in our database and all those kind of things there. So the first I'm gonna do Python manage.py, and here I'm gonna do create super user. Let me bring that up here a bit, and here you can see Python manage.py create super user. Gonna click enter, and here it's asking us to enter the username there. So I'm gonna give it admin. You can give it any name, but I just like sticking around to admin. I'm gonna give it an email address. I'm just gonna leave it blank there, because since we're just testing it out to see we're not really using it. So the password, I'm gonna give it a very basic password. So here I've been able to create it. So I inputted a password, and it was telling me that the password was too common. So if you just don't pass in a strong password, don't worry, just click Y, since we're just using it to test it out. So I've created a super user. Now let's go here and let's go to /admin. And this to take it to the admin Django administration. And here, let me just sign in as admin. Okay, so I need to enter the correct password. So I'm gonna do the password that I specified. And now I'm gonna log in. Let me just update the password there. So here we have our users. I'm gonna go to the users, and we only have one user, which is basically the admin that we created here. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a user now to see if it's actually going to register the user. So /register. I'm gonna give it a username, which is gonna be Branson, which is my name, and here I'm gonna give it a password. So okay. Okay, so the password confirmation, that is the same password as before for verification email. Okay, so for here, for the password, I'm basically just gonna type in a password. I basically just give it the same name with the admin so that I have all the same password. The email, I'm gonna give it this okkbranson@gmail.com. Click submit again, and let's see what's gonna happen. So it has, I think it has submitted. Let's go here and let's refresh. If we refresh here now, you can see that Branson this here. So you can see that everything is working well, and it has created a new user. Yes, if we go to users here, you can see that it has created Branson. We go here, you can see all the details about Branson here. So our view is working perfectly fine, and that is everything there. So I think that we want to fix something else whereby whenever we register, we want to be redirected to the login view so that the user will be able to log in. So let's go to the views.py, and I think that's a register. So okay, so after that, what I want to do is, so I want to return, I want to redirect. I don't know if I, yeah, redirect. So I want to redirect to where? So I want to be redirected to the login, and here let's just return return redirect login. So here I want to be redirected to login. Now let's go there and let's refresh. I'm gonna refresh that again, and yes. So here I'm gonna create another username, which is just gonna do Branson 2. Password, I'm gonna give it a password here. So I'm gonna give it a basic password there, and for the password confirmation, I'm gonna do the same thing there. I'm gonna give it another email, and let's click submit. Okay, so we have not been transferred there. Okay, the two password fields did not match. Sorry about that. Let me just put the correct passwords there. So now let's just click submit, and let's see what's gonna happen. So here you can see that we have been successfully redirected to login. So remember before, whenever that just happens, we still stay in the register, but now we have been moved to the login view. So now that it's working, let's go here, let's refresh. You're gonna see a new account, Branson 2 there. So let's try logging in. When I do username admin, so I'm gonna log into, let's say, Branson. So Branson, let me do submit, and here I've been taken to this URL. So here we're getting this issue, this error, but don't worry, we're going to fix it in the next later on in the video, where we're going to deal with the web scraping and the other part there. So just basically know that it has been deleted. Yeah, I mean, it has been, you have been logged in successfully. And now if we go to the logout, yeah, it will tell you that, okay, so here we have an issue. Okay, so we're having an issue here. Has length 1 or 2. So let's go to the URLs. I think that should be from here. Okay, so here we have to give it name should be equal to logout. So I think that should be that should resolve it. Let's go here and let's refresh again. So here you can see that it says you have been logged out. So it works perfectly fine now. So let's try doing the, let's create a new app whereby we're going to handle the kind of the main stuff in the project to track the prices there. So I'm going to create a folder or an app. So don't worry, I'm going to do the designs later on in the video. I think almost to the end part, because I don't want to do the designs now and we keeping the main parts waiting. So almost finish everything. Then we can now go back to the design part there. So let me just clear my screen here, clear the terminal, and here let's just do Python manage.py, and here I want to do create an app. So I'm going to do start app. So the same way we did for our users. And here we're going to specify the name of the app, and I'm going to call it main app. You can name it, let's say Jumia app, or I'm just going to stick around with main app there. So this is basically the whole command there. Python manage.py start app main app. Let's go there, let's run that there, and it's running. And in the moment you can see it has been created, main app here. So now that it has been created, remember what we did to the users. First of all, go to our apps.py, grab the main app config, then head over to our settings.py, go to installed apps. Here add the name of the app, which is main app dot apps. So it is an app dot main app config, which is what we grabbed from the main app config there. So after that, it has been added to the installed apps, and we'll now be able to work we're now telling Django to treat it as an app. And let me just okay, so let me close down this here, and I'm going to close most of the things so here. So let's head over to our main app, and let's go to the models.py. So when I'm starting with my project, I normally start with the database. So I like creating the database first, so I will have everything done. So the first thing here I'm going to do from Django .contrib.out.models. I basically just want to import users or user. So this is going to import user for us. And now what I want to do is I want to create a class, and I'm basically just going to call the class I think track item, or let's do item. Sorry. So I'm going to do item there, and this is basically going to inherit from models.model. So this is going to inherit from the class models.model, and this models.model. And basically here I basically just want to give it some basic structures. So first of all, let me just give it a user. So it will have a user. So the user is basically going to be models dot foreign key. So we're going to create a one-to-one relationship with a user. So it's basically just going to have a foreign key to the user, and here we're going to do on delete to be equal to models dot cascade. So that means that whenever a user is deleted, we want to delete everything related to any item that is related to the user. So after this, now what I want to do is I want to create some fields, which is basically going to be let's say the item URL or URL. So the URL to the item. So this is basically going to be models dot char field. What am I doing? Sorry. So those character field, and here this is going to have a max length. Some URLs can be very long, so I think I might just stick around with 700 or something like that. 700 there. Then here I'm basically just gonna say item price or maximum, or let's say max price. So let's say you want to set the maximum price that it should be. So we want something lower than the maximum price there. So that's how we basically just want to track the product by or using. So max price is basically just gonna be models dot integer field. Oh yeah. I think you can make it a float value if you want, like float field. But I think since we're gonna be dealing with Naira, which is here in Nigeria, basically we work with Naira and not dollars. So I think it would just be better to work with integer there, integer field, because I don't think there's any point of adding a dot something something here in Nigeria in our price there. So I'm just gonna do models, but you can stick around with float values. Everything will work perfectly fine. So I'm just gonna stick around with integer field, and here we're gonna have user should be this. Create a one-to-one relationship with the user, and if we delete a user, we want to go ahead and delete every item that has yeah, we want to delete every item that is related to that user, and we want to create a character field of the URL so that we can save the URL there and a max price. So that's what we basically just want to do, and I think that should just be it for the models. We might actually come back and do some basic changes, but I think that this should just work perfectly fine for us. So let's go to the views of py, and you know, let's start working on the web scraping part. So here I'm basically gonna do import request. So let me just import request. If you don't have it installed, I'll show you how to download it. And here we're basically gonna do from bs4. I basically just wanna import beautiful soup. And let me show you guys here. So if you want to install request, it's very easy. Pip install request. Tap enter. It's gonna basically go ahead and install request for you. And I already have mine installed, so I'm basically just gonna cancel it. Clear the screen here. So to install BS4 beautiful soup, you have to do pip install BS4. Tap enter, and I believe that you guys now get the idea on how to install packages in Python. So BS4 there. So I already have mine installed. I'm gonna clear the screen there, and that's how you basically just install that. So what do we have here? Okay, maybe just an issue there. So here we're basically gonna define a function, and okay, here. So we're gonna define a function, and I'm just gonna name the function search item. Yeah, search item. So this is just gonna be a normal Python function, not a Django based function. And here the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try, and you know, like, I'm gonna treat it, I'm gonna try and forget about the working with the Django, but I'm gonna treat it as if we're working just on the small projects there. So I'm just gonna do pass there, and let's just go ahead to our Chrome and go here, and let's search for jumia.com.ng. Let's go to Jumia, and here I'm gonna search for some items and show you how to work with the project. So let me just go here, and I'll get back to Chrome now. So now let's just go here and let's search for something. So I'm basically just gonna search for BM800. So you can search for anything. I'm just gonna go with this, which is basically just a microphone, which is the microphone I'm using. So let me just select this, and a BM800 is just a microphone there, and that is the microphone I'm using to record right now. So let's open up our developer tool. So you can do Ctrl+Shift+I, or if you don't know how to do that, just go to this top right hand corner, those three dots there, click it, and you see more tools. So I'm using Chrome here, so you can see more tools. Then scroll down to where you see developer tools, click that there, and after you have clicked that, look at this, click it there. Let me show you guys what we want to do. So I want to try and get the price of the object, or of the URL. So sorry, I want to get the price of the product, so based on the URL. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to click this. I want to see where that is. So if we go here, it has automatically selected the code for us, and this is the class B something, LTR tal whatever. So we're going to use that class to access this object here, or to access this element here. So let's go back to our code here. Let me minimize this a bit, and here I'm going to do URL should basically be equal to something. Let me just create a comment for the name of that class, which is this one that we copied here. So now let me go here and copy the URL. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to say URL should be equal to that URL of the product there in our website, jumia.com. So jumia.com is just an e-commerce website, basically based in Nigeria, basically in some parts of Africa. So after we get this now, what I want to do is I want to say URL now be equal to request dot get URL. So this is going to open up URL using the request. And after I do that, what I want to do now is I want to say soup should basically now be equal to beautiful soup. So beautiful soup, and here is going to take url.content. So this is going to grab the contents from the request there. And after it grabs that, what I want to do is I want to treat it as an HTML file, or I want to treat it as HTML code. So I'm going to do HTML dot parser, and that is going to work. So you're going to treat it as HTML. And after that, I'm just going to create another variable, which is going to be price span. So let me just do price span. So price span is basically going to be equal to soup dot find. So we want to find something, and what we don't want to find is span. So if you go here, and here you can see that it's actually a span here. So we're trying to look for span, so for a tag span, and we want to look for a span tag, which has a class, which is basically this class that we copied here. So I'm going to copy that and paste that there. And we're trying to look for a span tag who has a class of that. So after that, let's just say let's just print out price span so that we'll see what's actually happening. So I'm going to print out price span and print out price span. So I'm going to call the function here just to show you guys what I mean. I'm going to do search item. This is basically what we want to call there. So now I'm going to run the function here, and it's running here. So it's going to go ahead and print out price span. So okay, so here we're actually getting an issue. Let me try using find all, even though I still think that it should have worked when we use find. So okay, so I'm getting an empty list. So I think that there's something wrong in our code. And we haven't even written a lot of things there, but I think let me just try adding some headers. Maybe it might be blocking it since it thinks it's a bot. So let me just do hdr. So I'm just trying to like disguise it as if it is actually a real person that is making a request. So I'm gonna say user agent should basically be Mozilla. So Mozilla is basically just a web browser. Let me just use the version 5.0, and I think that this should work. And now let's just go to our URL. So in the URL here, I'm basically just gonna get that, and here I'm just gonna add a comma, which is gonna say headers should basically be equal to this hdr. And let's try running that again. I don't know, I hope it's gonna work. So let's see what's gonna happen. Oh, so I guess that is not the issue there. So it was just a very funny bug, and this is how our URL was .h, and it's supposed to be .html. So that was just an issue that I saw. So let's go here and let's print out this price span. Let me just change this to find, and also it will return a list. So now let's run that in our terminal, and here you should see span. So you can see this right there now. So it's all working perfectly fine. And now that it has been able to get that span, now we want to try and get it as a text. So let me just try doing this. So I'm gonna say price span. Oh, okay, let me just do everything in this line. So I'm gonna do .text so that it only grabs out this price span here. So let's go there and let's run that again. And here you're going to see only 43,000 naira, which is this there. So it has been able to like get it out. So now I want to try and split it, or yeah, I want to like I think split, or I don't know how to say, but I want to slice it after this naira, or basically after this space after the naira. So let me just do this. So I'm gonna do 2. So I want to print out the from position 2 and above. Let's run that and let me show you. It's only going to print out 43,000 and no longer 43,000 naira. So as you can see, this is different from this, and there is no space between that. So now this is actually as a string, and we need it as an integer. But we cannot just convert it to an integer like that, because it's going to give us an issue, because of this comma there. So there can be a comma in an integer there. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert. So let me just do what I want to do now first. So I'm going to split it by the comma. So basically we're going to split it by the comma, and this is going to like return a list which is going to have 43 and 100, 43, and it's going to have 000. So let me show you what's going to happen. So here you can see the list, right? You can see 43 here, and here you can see 000 or 100, 000. So that is how it is now. So now what we want to do is we want to loop through that price span and concatenate them or join them together. So let me just do something here, and let me just create a variable which is going to be price. So price is going to be an empty string, and here I'm going to say for character, or okay, so we can just say price should be equal to space dot join, and here we can pass in price span. So here we want to join the price span, and at the end let's just print out sprite. I said sprite, sorry about that. Let's print out price like that, and let's see what's going to happen. So I'm expecting to just have 43,000, and whereby there'll be no comma. Okay, so let me run that again. Let's see what's going to happen. So here we're getting everything as an integer, or still as a string. So let's just do price should be equal to int this, so which is basically just going to convert it to an integer at last. So now that I've been able to get our price, and yeah, so I've been able to get the price. So now I'm just going to create a very small variable, just a variable here, which I'm going to say let's say max price. So I'm trying to do this to show you guys on how we can just do that, not on Django but just purely Python. Then we'll just make some changes and change it to Python based functions there. So here I'm going to say max price. So I want to say max price should just be equal to, let's say 15,000. So 15,000 there. And here I'm just going to create a small condition where I'm going to say, let's say if price is less or equal to max price. What I want to do is I want to print out go buy the products now. So I'm going to print out go buy the products now. And now let's just go there and let's run that again. Let's see what's going to happen. So okay, so you didn't print that out. Okay, so price is 14, I think. Okay, the price is actually 43,000. Sorry about that. My mind was that it was 14,000. So I'm gonna move this, let's say 45,000. So now let me go there and let's run that again. And let's see what's gonna happen. So if you print out go buy the product now. So here you can see go buy the product now. And let's say the limit is actually, let's say 42,000, or let's say 40,000. So that means that we want the limit to be 40,000, but the price hasn't reduced yet. So if we run that, it's not going to tell us that the go buy the product now. So it's just going to print out the price on its own. So this is just the basic logic here. Just basically all this here. So this is what we just basically need to scrape the website and get the price, and now pass it into and do some other conditions there, get data from our database, and make everything work well. So after that, now what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to leave this search item for now, and let's go here, and I'm going to create a view or a function which is also going to basically called search. So search is just going to be used to add a new, to create a new object to the database. So I'm going to do define search, and here I'm going to do request. So define search request. I remember this is just search item, or let me just name this to search price, and search price here. So here in the Django view or the Django function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do if request dot method. So sorry, this was supposed to be request, not request. So if request dot method is double double equal to post, so that means that if we're getting a post request, and if we're posting if we're getting a post request, what we want to do is I want to say URL should be equal to request dot get, and here I'm going to get, so okay, so I'm going to render all this in a template in a HTML file. So we're going to create an input whereby it's going to be a search box. So I'm just going to give it a name, which is going to be search box, so that we're able to get the data from the input. So whenever you are just typing, just like let me just go to Chrome or here. So let's say this is just an input. So whenever this is just an input. So whenever we get a post request, we want to try and get data inside that input there. So that's what we're basically doing there. So let me go here. So we're trying to get the request.get search box. So we're going to get the data from that input there. So here I'm going to basically do max price. So max price should be equal to int request.post request.post.get. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So here was supposed to be post.get. As I was typing this, I just remember that I didn't add post. So we're doing post.get since we are getting a post request here. So if request, so int request.post.get. And what do we want to get? We want to get the max price. And this is basically going to be another search box or input that we're going to create in the future, or just when we're done with this. So here I'm going to say if URL is not equal to blank. So I want to make sure that the URL is not blank. And let's do max price. So, and max price is also not blank. So we want to make sure that there's something in it. So if none of them, if all of them have something in them, so I'm going to say user should be equal to request or user. So I'm trying to get the current logged in user right now. So we're going to get the current logged in user. So yeah, basically this is going to get the current logged in user. And after that, what I want to do is I want to create a variable which is going to be, let's say, item model, or item, let's just name it item model. So item model is basically going to be equal to items, and here I'm going to say user should be equal to user. Let me just show you why I'm doing this. So this is basically the user here. So we have our user, our URL, and our max price there. So let me go to the view. Okay, I haven't even imported that yet. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say from dot models. Here I want to basically import item. So we're gonna import item from there, and here I'm gonna say item user should be equal to user, and that the next one is basically the URL. So URL. So here I'm basically gonna do URL to be equal to URL. So this URL, the URL here should basically be equal to the URL here that we're getting from the search box, and that is what we want. And we're still going to do the maximum price, so which is that max price should basically be equal to the max price that we're getting here. So I'm going to do max price should be equal to max price, or I think that this, I should just change this to item, so that it'll be different from what we are having there. Item URL, or let me say search URL. Okay, so here let me just say maximum. So here by just doing maximum. So this time URL is going to be equal to item URL, item URL, and this one is basically going to be maximum price there. So that's what we are basically doing here. And okay, so remember that we also have to change this. So I'm just changing this so that they won't be the same name. If you do that, everything is also going to work perfectly fine. There's not going to be any issue, but I just want to do that so that when you're looking through the code, you will know what's actually happening and you won't get confused. And here now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the object now. So since we just created an instance of it, but we haven't directly saved it, so I'm going to do item model dot save. So I'm going to save it into the database right now. So that means that if we actually access the view, so this is going to go ahead and save it to the database. And at the end, I just want to return a redirect. So let me just go here, and here I'm basically just going to do return redirect. So what do I want to redirect to? So I basically want to redirect to this current page now, this current path. So we haven't created the HTML file for this search here, but we're still going to create that now. So what I want to redirect, I want to redirect to search, which is basically going to be the name of this view. So we just want to I'm going to create the path in the urls.py, and don't worry, I'm going to do everything that we're going to need. So I'm going to do return render. So here I'm going to do request. So here I'm going to do request, and here I'm going to do main app. So main app / search.html, and we're going to create this file, don't worry, which is the search.html file there. And after this, now let's just import our redirect. So I'm going to go up here, and here I'm going to do comma redirect. So render comma redirect, and after that, this is just basically just to redirect us to a new file there. So after we're done with that, what we want to do now is I'm going to create the template folder here. I'm going to create a template. So template, and inside this template, I'm going to create another folder which is basically going to be called main app. And remember that it has to be the same name with the app, with the current app you're working on right now. So after that, inside the main app, I'm going to create a HTML file, which is basically going to be this search.html there. So I'm going to do create a file, search.html. Okay, so I'm going to do search.html. And now that we have this our search.html, now let's go here and let's write the search.html file so that we'll have some content, and we're going to create the search box and some few things here. So let's just start with let me go to my users here, and let's grab the basic things that we're going to need to create a HTML file. So I'm going to go there, close that there. So let me just paste that there. So these are just the basic things we're going to need. And here we're going to have a h1 tag, which is basically going to be enter Jumia products URL. So enter Jumia products URL. So enter the URL of a product in Jumia. So here I'm basically going to create a form. And remember, when you're creating a form, you always have to pass in your CSRF token. So you're going to pass in CSRF token there. And after that, now I want to create an input. So there are many ways of doing this. You can actually do it creating a forms.py file like we did in our users, but I don't see any reason doing that. I just did that because of security and make it more stronger. But I don't think there's any sensitive information about passing here, which is just basically the URL to that, and there's the the maximum price that we want that to have. So I don't think there's any much security here. So we're just going to do the normal way. So here in the input, I'm just going to say type. So type should be equal to text. So basically it's going to be a text. And we're going to say the name should basically be search box. So remember that if we go here, we have our search box. Where is it? Search box there. So, and after that, I'm going to do class. And let me just leave that for that. So I told you we're going to do the styling letter so that we can just go back to that later. So after that here, I'm going to do placeholder. So placeholder should basically be equal to enter URL, or yeah, let me just do this. I think let me just make this in small letters. So enter URL. So this will just be like that feeded. So let me just go to Jumia. So you can see this kind of search product, brand and categories. So it's going to be something like this in the search box that we're going to have there. So so I'm going to do this again just for the maximum price. So let me give it tab there. So here for the maximum price now, let's do input should be type number. So number, and after that number there, what we're going to do now is here I'm going to say maximum price. So this will work perfectly fine there. And here I'm going to do class. Here I'm going to do enter number. So that's going to be it here. I'm going to do enter maximum number, enter maximum price. So when you enter maximum price, that is just basically going to be the inputs there. I'm sorry for the background noise. There's something happening outside. So after that, I basically just want to create a button for us. So what would I do now? So here I'm going to do button. So in this button, I'm basically going to do type should be submit. So type submit, and I'm going to give it a text of submit. So that's going to basically be the text submit there. And I think that should just be almost everything, or everything for the search. And remember that we'll come back later to do the styling of the website. So let me just remove this space there, or let me just leave it. Okay. So after that, let's go to our views.py and let's see what's going to happen, or what we should change, and I think I might leave that as that for now. Then let's just go run the server and let's see what we can do. So let me cross check if we entered max price here. Okay, so after that, let's go here and do Python. Let me go here, do Python manage.py, run server. That's will go ahead and run the server. I hope it will not run into any issues. So I guess everything's working well. Let's go there and open that. Now terminal, let's go to /search. So search, and okay, we don't have /. Like that was what I wanted to add in URLs. So let's just go here and let's do path. And here I'm going to do search. So search, you have a /, then let me add a comma at the end. So here it's basically we're gonna import that view. So we're gonna do from main app dot views. I basically just want to import search. So here we're gonna do search, and I'm gonna give it a name, which is basically just going to be search view. No, yeah, there's the name is search. And after that, I believe that everything should work well. And I still cancel that. Sorry. So it's still performing the system checks. I don't know why it should have run successfully, but let's go here and let's refresh again. So this is how it basically looks like now. So you can see enter Gmail products URL, and here you can see enter URL. So this is how it looks like now. So let's try registering our admin. Let's register our model to the admin so that we're able to see the things that are actually happening in our admin page, so we can see if it actually works in saving the things there. So let me go to my admin.py, and here we're going to do from .models. I basically want to import what's in, I think it's item. Yeah, item. So here we're going to do admin.site.register, and we want to register item. So we're going to register item there, and check if it's still recording. Okay, so I just remember that we haven't made migrations yet. So we're going to do let me just clear the screen there, and we're going to do Python manage.py make migrations. So we're going to go ahead and make migrations there. Let's tap enter, and this is going to inform our Django that we have made some changes to our database here to the models of py, and we want to be aware of the changes. And after that, now we want to migrate the changes. So we want to like actually save those new changes there. So I'm going to do Python manage.py migrate, and this will do applying all migrations there. So that's worked perfectly fine, and I can see that something is actually printing out here. Now I've used .py, so I think I'm going to remove that print statement. So let's just remove this print price here. So after that, let's go to, let me see if my server is still running. Yeah. So now let's go to our admin here. So I'm gonna have to log in. So as admin, I'm gonna log in there, and here we can now see. So here in the main app, you can see items, and here you can see that there's 0 items. So let's go to this our search, and now let's enter a URL. So I'm basically just going to enter this. Let's go to here, and I'm trying to search for that microphone that we used. So I think that this is this one. So it's actually this one. So let me select this one, and now let me copy the URL. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy the URL here, and I'm gonna go to our search. I'm gonna enter the URL there. I just imputed the URL there, and for the maximum price, I'm going to enter the maximum price there, and let's just enter 50,000. Yeah, so let's just enter let's enter 45,000. So 45,000 there. Let's submit, and I hope that everything works well. Okay, so we're having something here for the CSRF middleware token. So let me just refresh and see. Okay, so here I think that is in our search.html. So in this our form, we forgot to do method should be equal to post. So let's have to add that to create the method should be equal to post. And let's just stop the server and let's rerun the server again. So remember to add method should be equal to post, and that the server is running now. So here I'm gonna go here, and going to re-enter everything now. So I'm gonna, okay, sorry, we have an issue there. Okay, so it's still performing system check. So we're going to wait for the server to successfully run. So here it has run successfully. Now let's reload the page. Let's enter the URL, the maximum price. I'm just gonna enter 45,000, and now let's submit, and let's go to our admin. Let's refresh, and hopefully we'll see something. So here you can see item object 1. So it has successfully created that with the URL, the maximum price, the user this. So it now works perfectly fine, and you can see that it has added that. And now that it has added that, I think that we are done with our view. Or let me try doing something. So let me try logging out now. So if I log out now, I don't want to see this page. So I want the user to, okay, so if you're actually logged out, we want you to log in. So we want to add at login required. So we're going to add a decorator which is going to tell the user, okay, so hey, you're not logged in. So if you're not logged in, we're going to redirect you to the login page whereby you're going to go ahead and log in. So in this our import, we're going to import something now. So we're going to basically just import a decorator. So we're going to do from Django dot contrib dot auth dot decorators. I basically just want to import login required. Yeah, login required. So here I'm going to add a decorator here. So I'm going to do this login required. And now that it's done, let's go here and let's refresh here. So you can see that that there's an issue here now. So it's redirecting us to this URL here where it says accounts login next whatever. So remember I think some minutes ago where we were still in the users app. So remember when I told you that we are always getting this to accounts login and with our accounts profile, and we don't have that thing. So to fix that issue, we're going to create a variable login. So we're going to say login redirect URL should be equal to login. So now if we go to our urls.py, we have to pass in that name that we gave it here. So the name is login. So that's why we did that. So let's rerun the server, and if you change the name to something else, remember to go here and change the name to the name that is here. So now let me go to our search and refresh there. So I'm going to go to /search. Let's go there and let's see if it's going to redirect us. Okay, so we're still having this issue, and let's see how to fix that. So I don't know why. Let's see how we're gonna fix that. Okay, login redirect. So okay, so let me try going to /login, and let me log in first, and let's see how we can fix that. So let me log into Branson, submit. Okay, let me change it to search first. So I'm gonna change that to search, and that means that it's going to redirect us to this our search page. So let's go there, and if that works, I'm gonna know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so it works. So now, okay, so what we did was actually login redirect to URL, but we're supposed to do login URL. So I just remember this. So login URL. So now login URL must be equal to the login there. So I'm gonna do login. So let me just rerun the server, and this login is basically just this login here. So I think that should just fix the issue for us there. And now let me go to logout, or let me go to start. Okay, it's working. So let me go to logout first and logout first. So I'm going to log out. You have been logged out. Now let's go to search. And since I'm not logged in now, that means it will redirect me to login. So let's try that. So here you can see login an account, and you see it's working well. So now if I now log into Branson, submit, and when I submit, it takes me back to search because of what we did here in our settings, whereby is login redirect to URL redirects me to search if I log in successfully, and that worked well. So now let's try creating another one. So I'm going to create gonna search for another thing. Let me search for the Blue Yeti. So I'm going to search for a Blue Yeti microphone there, and you can just yeah. So here I have this microphone. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to grab the URL. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to input the URL there, and let's check the price. The price 109,000. So let me just make it 110,000. So I'm going to make the price 110,000 there. So let me submit. Let's go here and let's refresh to see. Okay, I have to log in. So I'm going to log in as admin. And now let's go to our items, and hopefully we'll see two. So we see item object 2. And if you notice, this is from the user Branson. And if we go to items object one. This is from user admin. So it's it's now working well, whereby we can create objects, and it's working perfectly fine. So now let's get back to this our search price. So this search price is basically hard coded. The URL is hard coded, and almost everything there is hard coded, and it cannot work dynamically. So we want to make it work dynamically. So we want it to be a dynamic view where it works based on, it's very dynamic. So how we can do that is we're basically going to make some few changes here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to remove this. Or yeah, let me just remove this URL here, or remove everything. Yeah, so now what I'm going to do is, here I'm basically going to do for elements. Yeah, so I'm going to look for elements in items dot object dot all. So I'm going to do for elements in items dot objects dot all. Let's type in items. So this is basically going to grab all the elements in our database, in our item model. So when it grabs everything, what I want to do is I'm just going to do pass now. Oh yeah, so let me just leave it like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say user email will basically be equal to element dot user. So element your user there, or and or should I? Okay, so let me just say user. Sorry about that. So user should basically be equal to element dot user, so which is basically this user here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the user email. So remember that we're also going to be sending emails based on if the price has reduced or things like that. So I'm going to say user email. So user email should be equal to user dot email. So now I send this user dot email. So after that, now I'm going to say item URL is basically be equal to element dot URL. So if we go to our models, this is the URL there. And after that, now what we're going to do is I think I should just change this to, okay, so I'm going to change it to item URL. So yeah, so after item URL, that I'm going to do max price. So don't worry, I'm trying to get everything from our database there, so that we can make use of everything. And after the, I don't want to like make this section, go back in and start coding everything. So I just want to declare all the variables that we're going to need, so that we can just code along. So here I'm going to do element dot maximum price, or I think it's max price, right? Okay, it's max price like this. Oh, sorry, what I do here. So it's max element dot max price, and I think that that should be almost all our everything that we're going to need. So after that, now here I'm basically just going to do item URL. Okay, let me just leave this at URL, so that we'll go back to that. So I don't want to do anything. Let me just leave it like that first. And now what we're going to do now is I want to create a variable URL, so that it will match this one here. So I'm going to say URL should basically be equal to request dot get str. So I want to convert everything to a string, and what I want to convert to a string, I want to convert the item URL. And basically I'm just going to pass in the headers. So the header should basically be equal to hdr. So I'm getting the item URL, and it's just like doing that request, but this time we are converting it to a string, though it's going to be as a string, but I'm just converting it to a string in case of anything there. So I'm passing the headers, and the headers is just basically this our header where using user agent should be Mozilla, to prevent any blocking of our IP address from the website thinking that we're bots. Yeah. So after this, now we're getting the URL there and we're making the request. So now I'm going to do my soup. I think I should just move everything inside here. So now I'm doing soup should now be equal to this. So soup is equal to our url.content HTML parser, and the price span should be equal to this. So this is what we did before, and I believe that everything is working well there. And now what I'm going to do is let's this condition like that we have now, but this time we're going to make it for the email. So we're going to create this condition. So if this condition is true, then that means that we're going to send an email there, right? So let me just leave that as it is there, and let me go to my settings.py and let's define the configuration to send emails using Python. So to send emails in not in Python but basically in Django is a bit different from how you just send normal emails in Python. So you have to make some basic configurations there. So the first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna go to my settings.py. Yeah, so I'm already in the settings.py itself. So here in the settings.py, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say email. So email backend. So I'm saying email backend should be equal to we have to type this. So I think it's django.core dot mail. Let me see. Okay, so email backend is basically django.core dot mail dot backend dot smpt or smtp. Yeah. So yeah, so smtp dot email backend. So this is django.core.mail.backend.smtp email backend. So this is just basically what you have to do to define your email backend. That to work, I know it's pretty long, but just try and remember it. Or you can just screenshot or just code along with me. So email host, now we're going to create a variable email host. So this time email host is going to be equal to smtp smtp.gmail.com. So we want to use this Gmail to like sending our emails. So now after that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say email use or what I'm okay, yeah, email use TLS should be equal to true. So you just have to make this true for it to work. So email use TLS should be equal to true. And after that, we have to create a port for our email. So you have to create the ports whereby like where to make the connection and all those kind of things. So just write this. Don't need to worry about that. Just create a port 587. And now let's just do our email host user. So our email host user will basically just be a what do you call it? Just a Gmail or an account. So I'm gonna use email host user to be equal to. So here I'm gonna pass in the one of my accounts. So at OKK Brownson 2006 at gmail.com. So this is just one of my accounts there, one of my Gmail accounts. So I'm basically just going to pass that there, and here I'm going to do email host password. So our email host password will basically be equal to the password of this account here. So I'm basically just going to type in the password, or you can just write that in a, I think, in your computer system environment, or you can just create a file there and just create a file and passing the file here with the text and everything. But I'm just going to basically pass my password, but I'm actually going to pause the video and move to another file there, but I'm not going to show you guys my password obviously. So I'm going to type in the password there and move to another place there. So now let's just start coding our things to send emails with Python in Django. So now I'm going to do subject. So your subject should be equal to let's say your product has now reduced So let's say your product has now reduced. Just do that as the subject or as the title, and we're basically going to pass in a message. So the message should just be an F string. So we're just going to say hi. Let's say user.username. So, and I hope that you guys understand this. This is just basically your user here, and you know that whenever we're creating registering an account, we create it with a username as well. So we're going to say hi username. So hi plus the name of the username of the person, and here I'm going to add a comma, and we're going to say your product, and here we're just going to basically pass the URL of the product. So let me just do item URL, your product this. So that's just the URL to the item or to the product, and here we're going to say that you set to track has now reduced. So we're going to say has now reduced, so it has successfully reduced. So here we're going to say to price. So here we're going to say it has reduced, successfully reduced to price. And what is the price? The price is just basically this, our price here that we got. So I think that's true. Okay, we haven't ended the curly braces there. So that's what we basically just want to print out there. And after we print out there, print out after we create the message, now we want to say email from. So we have to create a variable. So let me just do that. So here we're going to say email from. So email from should be equal to the email that yeah, so like the sender. So the email of the sender, which is our email. So there you're just gonna input your email. So I'm gonna do settings dot email host uh host user. So remember those are the email that I put okekebranson 2006 at gmail.com. So that's just basically the settings email host user. So now let's just import settings. So before I forget, so let's go to the top here, and here we're basically just gonna do from Django. So from Django. So from Django. So here we're gonna say from Django.core. No, not from core. From I think it's from. I'm trying to remember it, but okay. So I think it's from Django.conf configuration. I think you import setting. Yeah. So this is basically it. And let me just make another import so that we don't forget. And this one is gonna be from Django.core.mail. So here I'm gonna import send email. So these are gonna be the things that I think for now that we're gonna need to send emails or mails. So let's just scroll down to where we have our emails here, and here I'm just gonna say uh recipients. So the recipients list is basically just going to be user email. So this user email is basically this user email here. That's what gets the email, the email from the user that we want to send it to. So that is the receiver there. So we have to wrap that as a list. And here I'm basically going to do send email. So I want to send a mail. What I want to send a subject. So you first of all you have to pass the subject, which is the title, and then the message, then the email from, I think that is the person that is from we the sender, and after that, we as well want to send the recipients list, which is basically the receiver, the list of receivers. So recipient list. So I think that should work perfectly fine there. And this is basically what we just need to send emails. And after that, I'm thinking of making some changes in the code and in our method, in our models.py, because from the look, everything is working well. Wine, what am I saying? Sorry, everything is working well. So but there might be an issue whereby it's always going to be checking for the objects, and when it checks for the objects, it's going to automatically going to be sending this your how your product that you set to track has now reduced to this price, and it's going to be sent out multiple times because we're going to check that okay, the price has actually reduced. So we have to try and create like a catch there whereby if it has sent before, don't send it again. So that is what we basically just want to do. So to do that, we're going to go to our models.py. Here we're just going to make some small changes, or we're just going to add something. So the first thing we're going to add there is just basically let me go to the admin.py. Not the admin, yeah, the model. So here I'm basically just going to do status. So we want to try and get the status of the item. So I'm going to do models. I think for this case we should just use the boolean field, and here we're going to say default should be equal to false. So default should be equal to false, and yeah. So let me go to the views.py, and that means that it's always going to be false there, but we can as well change it if we want to. So here we're going to say that at the top here, so let me just scroll up a bit. So here for element this, we're going to make a condition, and here we're just going to say that if elements, let me just type that there. So we're going to say if elements dot status. So if element dot status is double equal to false. So if the status of the elements is false, then what we want to do is do all this. So that means that if the element is false, that means that it has never sent the email before or previously. And after that, so if it's sent successfully, what I want to do is I want to say that it has been sent successfully. So I want to scroll down here to this send mail, and I'm going to do enter. And here I'm basically just going to say element dot status should be equal to true. So that means that when it sends the email and it sends successfully, it's going to automatically set the element status to be true. Then at the end, I want to save it. So I'm going to say elements.save. So I believe that this should be everything for our code now, and everything should work well. And I don't think that we should have any issues now. So let's just go through the code and let's see if there's any issue there. And yeah, so right away now we're going to test the code and see if everything is actually working fine. Yeah, so now I'm going to run my function or run the server. Let's go ahead and run the server, and I hope that everything's going to work well. Sorry, run into an issue. So okay, objects. So this was supposed to be objects, not objects. Let's rerun the server, and I hope. Okay, so there's another issue. Status. Okay, so we haven't actually made migrations, so we have to do Python manage.py make migrations, so that we inform Django that we have made some migrations or we have made changes to our database, and migration, so that will work on its own first, then run the migrate command to save all those changes, and now we can uncomment that. So let's try rerunning the server and let's see what's going to happen. I hope that everything worked well. Performing system checks, and now we have an issue, and which is in the split non-type object has no attributes text. So what I think is basically from this our Chrome, I just noticed out that the first one for the item object one, okay, let me just comment this out first. So now let's let the server run again. So it's reloading now, and let's go here, let's refresh. If you go to item object one, everything is well.html, but now if you go to object two, it is actually dots and there is no .html at the end. So that is actually the main issue there. That's why it has been giving us that issue. So if we go there and let me just do this. So now let's try commenting out that, and let everything run well. Let's see if everything is going to work perfectly fine, if it's going to send our email for us. So now let's go to, I'm going to open up my Gmail here, and I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to be waiting for the email to enter to tell us that if it has actually reduced in price. Yeah, so I recently just saw an issue, and it's basically in this our forms.py. So here, remember that we created the email, but we never even registered an email there. So that is something that we didn't do. And just when I was checking the code, I just saw that. So here we're gonna have to add our email for that to work well for us. So let's rerun the server and let's see what's gonna happen. So everything is working well now, and let me just go to my admin page, and let's do some things. So let me go to the users here, and these are basically all my users here. So this is just basically all the users that we have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to delete this Branson user, but before I do that, I want to grab this blue Yeti stuff here. I'm basically just going to copy that, and I'm going to delete this object. So I'm just doing it because I want to create a new object like that, a new user, whose name is just going to be Branson, because we forgot to do that email. So now we want to create new users who have emails there. So let me just go here, and so now let's go here and let's go to register. So we're going to register a new account now. So here I'm going to give it a username, and let's refresh here. Okay, so here we have a username. I'm going to give it a Branson. For the email, okay, Branson. For the password, I'm going to give it a very basic password here. So the password here, and here I'm still gonna input that the same password. So now we're gonna click submit, and it takes us here. I'm gonna log in into this account now. So now we're here, and now I'm going to enter the URL there, and let's see. So for the price, I'm just gonna enter, let's say 120,000. So 120,000 there, and now I'm basically just going to submit. Now let's just submit there. And now that I've submitted it, now let's go here and let's check uh our admin. Let's go to items here. Okay, so now I need to sign in as the admin. I'm going to sign in as the admin. Our users now, you can see Branson here, and let's go here to the items, item object 3, and this is it. So now let's try rerunning our server now, so that this our search price work. And let me just rerun the server. Let's see what's gonna happen now. So admin, okay, Branson on this. Okay, so here we have an issue: authentication username are not accepted. So I think that this is basically from the SMTP authentication error. So what happened was just that Google blocked it. I think it was I was spamming them, but everything just worked well now. So I'm going to go here and disable this status here. And now let me just rerun my server. Let me just rerun the server there. And then let me just remove some of all these print statements here while I was trying to debug it. So we're just going to remove all this basic print statement there, and let's try checking if everything is going to work perfectly fine for us. Now I think let me run my server, and let's see if everything is going to work. Let me go to my email here. You can see this is my email now, and I think it's worked. So let me go here and let's see. Okay, so here you can see a new email entered. Let's go check it, and here it says from Branson 2006. So here it's telling me that hi Branson, your product this, and that you set to track has now reduced to this. So now if you click it, it's going to redirect us to this Jumia. So you can see that it's now working well. So if you create another account, it's all gonna work perfectly fine. Redirect, you're going to send that message only if the price is less. So let me just go to the here. Now let me set the price below it. So it's going to be below it. And now let's rerun the server and let's see if it's going to work. If it's actually it's going to work, but it's not going to send us a message telling us that it has reduced. So let's wait for it to work, to run. Let's go to here, and here let's refresh. So okay, so here it's telling us that okay, has now reduced to 10,999. Okay, so let's just go here. I think I didn't actually save it, that's why. Oh, okay. So what I did was that, remember, is 10,000. So let me just remove this to, let's say 10,09888. So let me try running that. Let me save it, and now let me rerun the server, and let's see if it's actually still going to send that message. And I don't think it's going to send it now because I've reduced the price. So it has run. Let's refresh, and as you can see, there is no message coming in, but it works well. But there's another issue here, and we're not going to be wanting to close the server, rerun the server, close the server, because we just want to update this, and that is a very bad practice. So to fix that issue there, and to automate it, so this time we want to automate this function, so that, let's say, to run every hour, let's say every 3 hours, or those kind of things like that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make an import. So let's go to the top here. So from here, I'm going to do from app scheduler. So from app scheduler dot schedulers dot background. From here, I basically want to import background scheduler. Let me see if I make any mistake. Apps scheduler. Okay, this was supposed to be an E. Okay, so does schedulers does background, import background scheduler. So I believe that this should be it. And what we have to do now is to just basically make this import. So we have to install it. So here we're gonna do pip install app scheduler. So pip install app scheduler. Let's go there and let's run that, and that is going to go ahead and install that app scheduler for you. So here I'm actually installing it. I don't have it installed in this laptop right now, so I'm going to go ahead and install it for us. So now that it has installed successfully, we now have it installed. Now what I want to do is, so I want to define a function which is going to be start here. Now what I want to print out here is I just want to do scheduler. So here I want to say scheduler should basically be equal to background scheduler, and I want to create an object. So that's going to create an instance of that class. And now I want to do scheduler dot add job. So I want to do dot add job, and I want to do search. So search price and interval. I'll explain what I'm doing now. So interval, and here I'm going to say minute should be equal to 1. That's what I'm just going to do now. So I'm just adding a job. And what is the job? I just want to run this function, which is search price. So I want to run search price as in intervals, in minutes 1. So every 1 minute I want it to run at intervals. I want to run this function at intervals of 1 minute. So that's basically just going to run that, and at the end I just have to do scheduler dot start. So that's what we just basically have to do there, and that's automatically going to work for us. So now what we have to do now is we have to do, okay, how am I going to explain this? Okay, so we have to call this function at the initialization of the app or of our website. So the best place to do it is to go to our apps.py in our main app here. And now in this main app, what we have to do is want to do define ready. So we're trying to see that when it loads up, I want to do something. So this ready means that when the app is ready, that means when it loads up, what I want to do. So here I want to do from dot import views. So from dot import views, so I want to import views from dot, and here I want to say views dot start. Yeah. So here we want to start, and this is basically the views of py. So I want to call this function start. So that means that every 1 minute is going to go ahead and run the function for us. So I think I might just set this to around 0.5 or so like that. So okay. So I don't actually want to do this because I don't want to be like sending so much message to my Gmail. But what you just have to do is just move this to something like 60 minutes if you want it to be like run every 60 minutes. So you know that our database is going to get larger and things like that. So you might just want to make this, let's say, run at every 1 hour 30 minutes. So you can just put minutes should be equal to 90. And I believe that that will work perfectly fine for you. And if it's let me just run that, and you're going to start, we're not going to run into any issues. Python, this is our server. Okay, so this is basically our server here, and now let me just close the server. We run that here, and let's see if we're going to run into issues. We're going to fix the bug. Okay, so here we have an issue, which is background scheduler. It has no attribute with add job. Okay, so scheduler dot add job, search price, background scheduler. So as you can see, if you just do this, it's going to work perfectly fine for you. So let me see. Yeah. So this is what you just have to do. And I put a double score there. So it just has to be one double score, and it's going to work perfectly fine for you. So you can see that it's working and we're not running into any issues. So this is how you can just basically automate tasks in Django. Yeah. So you can just automate tasks in Django using this library, and just define the function start, call the function and the intervals, and then go to your apps.py and initialize that function there. So that is how it is. And I believe that this should be everything for the main logic. And now we're just going to go for the designs. And this is where we're going to do the static files and other stuff. So yeah, so now let's get started with the designs, where we're going to deal with CSS, and we're going to make some changes to our HTML files. So the first I'm going to have to do is I'm going to go to my folder. So inside this folder, I'm going to create a folder called static. So let me create the folder static, and that means it has to be on our root directory. So I'm going to do static. So inside static, I'm going to create a file which is basically going to be styles.css, and I'm just going to paste the file since I already have it. So I'll explain what is I'm going to explain everything inside this file, so don't worry. So okay, I'm not gonna need all this, so let me just remove that. Don't worry, I'm going to explain everything we're going to need. So basically now here in our search.html, so we're going to go to our search.html, and basically I'm going to link our CSS there. So I'm going to do link. I'm going to create a link tag, and in the link tag here, I'm basically going to say rel. So rel should be equal to style sheet. So that's basically what we have to do. And here I'm going to say type. So what is the type? It's basically text /CSS. Then I'm going to say the href, that's the link to the URL, to the link to the CSS file is basically this. So here we're going to do static. So remember that you have to do this here. So it's basically static, and Here I'm going to pass in styles.css, which is the name of my file. And after that, basically I'm just going to copy that. And now what we're going to have to do is in the body, I'm basically just going to do class should be equal to background one. So class should be equal to background one, and background one just basically gives a color of orange. And now what I'm going to do now is here in our heading, in our h1 tag, I'm going to give it a class of heading. So I'm going to do class should be equal to heading. So that should just be what we're going to do there. And after that, I'm going to make some changes to our button. So I'm going to give it a class. And here in our button, I'm basically just going to do class. Or let me just do it before type. So I'm going to do class should be equal to submit button. So class should be equal to submit button. And that's what we're going to have to do there. And our heading is basically this heading here, as you can see. And I don't know why I have to. Let me just remove that there. So this is basically our heading, which has this text align center, which is going to center it to the middle, which is going to move this text to the middle there, and basically give it a color of white. Okay, so now we're gonna have to do let me go to the search.html now, and let's see what we're gonna have to do. So inside the search.html, we're giving our class button, submit button, which is basically this submit button here, which is have a display of inline block, a background color of medium sea green, which is basically like green, and a font size of 1 em, which is just basically the font size. And what else do we even have to do now? So I think that should just be everything for the styles.css, for the search.html. So before I forget, you always have to add your load static, so that you tell Django to load static for you, that you basically want to use static files here. So you're gonna do load static, and that will basically load static for you. And now let's go to the register.html so that we can make some changes there. So I'm gonna go to the users app here, and I'm going to go to our template users in register. So now what we're gonna have to do here is I'm basically just going to paste that link. So sorry about that. So I'm going to go our search.html. I'm going to grab this link tag here, and I'm going to paste that there. So that's what we need there. And at the first, remember, we always have to do our load static to allow us to use static files in this file. So I'm going to do load static. So that is basically going to load our static. In our body, what I basically want to do is I want to say class should be equal to background one. And after that, I'm going to do h1. So here I'm going to give it a class, which is basically going to be equal to heading. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a div class. I'm going to create a div class here, or a div tag. So I'm going to do div, and in this div class and this div tag, now I'm just going to move everything inside this. And now that I've moved this inside, now let me just, here I'm going to close the div tag. So now I'm going to give this a class, and it's basically going to be equal to container. So now the class is basically container there, and I'm going to give it as well a W message, which is going to say, hey, you can sign up here. So I'm going to do P. So I'm going to create a P tag, and basically here I'm going to say class should be equal to W message. So that's going to do W message for us. And here I'm going to say hello there, you can sign up here. So hello there, you can sign up here. And basically what container and W message does is so this is basically container. It just gives some spaces from the left, from the top, right, left, from the top, right, bottom, and left. So that these are just spaces between the margin and the thing and the element itself. So Then the next one is basically okay, w message. So w message is just has an attribute of the font size, which is 30 pixel, and the color, which is kind of like blue, light blue there, or yeah. So that is just basically what is gonna have that's gonna be the attribute there. And at the end, I'm just gonna create another w. I'm gonna create a class like this. Let me just copy that, a p tag, and that is basically going to be outside the form. So here I'm basically gonna paste that there, and the text is just gonna be just gonna say got an account. So we want to ask the user. So if you basically have an account, we want to redirect you, or we want to give you the link to go and log in. So I'm gonna do this and this, and now I'm gonna do the a tag. Let me just move this here. So now I'm gonna create an anchor tag, which is for a link, and here I'm basically gonna do class should be equal to submit, a submit. So a submit, and basically I'm gonna give it a href, which is gonna basically be this is basically going to be the URL to login. Yeah. So then now the text is just gonna be login. That's gonna be the basic text we're gonna give it. So this is just what we want to give it, and basically this URL login is basically going to redirect it to the login view. So going to direct it to / logout and / login. So that's what it's going to redirect it to. So basically now I think we're done with the registered HTML. Now let's go to our login.html and let's make some designs here. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is give it the link tag, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab this load static, and I'm so gonna paste it at on top here. Now the first thing we're gonna have to do is basically change the class, which is the body. So we're gonna give it a class. So here we basically want the class to be equal to background1. So I think that should be it. And for the h1, I'm basically gonna give it a class of heading. So the class is basically gonna be heading. And remember that you can add your own designs if you want. These designs are not like super good, but just to style it and show you guys, some of you guys who don't know how to use static files in Python, or how to link your CSS file with HTML in Django there. So I'm just going to move this like this. Okay. So inside this div class is basically going to be a container. So I'm going to give it a class container. So a class container, and we're going to leave the form as it is there. And we're just going to do a welcome message, whereby I'm just going to grab from my register.html, where you can where say you can sign up here. So but this time what we're going to print out is going to be something different. So in the class container here, I'm just going to do, so I'm going to do hello there, you can log in here. So hello there, you can log in here, and that is what we're going to do there. And now let's just create for this our button. I'm going to give it a class of b submit. So I'm going to basically do class be equal to b submit. So b submit, and that's just the class we want to, or basically the text is just going to be a submit. So that's basically going to be a submit. And now I'm basically going to create a w message again. So we can grab that from the register.html, and which is basically just this p tag here. So let's go to the login and outside the form, I'm gonna paste that there. And the only difference here is just that this one is going to be for register, and here it's basically going to be register, and here is don't got an account. So we're gonna do don't, let me say, if you don't got an account, we're just gonna give the person that URL there. And I believe that okay, so we haven't done for the logout. So let's go to our logout.html here, and basically we're not gonna do much, but let me just go here, and what we're going to do is basically just grab this link, copy that, go to our logout.html, paste that there, go here, and basically do load static there. And here we're just gonna do class should be equal to background 1. So the class should be background 1, and this one basically gonna do say class should be equal to heading. And here what we have to do is we want to give it the directory to tell it where we're going to find our static files. So I'm going to do static files directory is basically going to be equal to a list, and this is going to be base directory / so base directory / static. And now let's reload the server. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so the server has reloaded. Now let's go to our search and let's see what's going to happen there. Okay, so here it's not working well. So okay, what might be the issue? Okay, so here we have style instead of styles. So that is what we just have to change, styles. So let's go to login. Same thing here, we just have to change it to styles. Now we'll log out, styles. So now let's reload that again. And this is how it looks like now. So, and I know that designs are not really good, but just try and manage that. So for the URL, let me just enter a URL there. And for the maximum price, I'm just going to input a maximum price there. Input whatever I want there. So let's submit and all those kind of things. So here now we can just go to our register, and this is how it looks like. The designs are not really good, but just try and understand how they all work. And got an account, blah blah blah. This now, if you want to go to our login, this is how it looks like. Okay, so there's an issue in the login. We've asked for register. Okay, so there's an issue in the register. So now let's go to our login.html in line 21. We have register here. Okay, so I think it's called register view. So now let's go there and let's refresh, and that everything's working well. So you can see that little animation or little transition whenever we refresh that. Everything is working well, and I know that the designs are not very good, but just try and just trying to show you guys how everything works, and how you can just implement your own designs there and work it well. So you see what we have covered in this video, in this tutorial. So I've been able to create requests, do web scraping, save that object to the database, and use authentication, how to do multi-threading, or how to automate tasks in the background using Django or in Django. So if you like this video and if you learned something, please show me some support by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please share the video, smash the like button, share to everyone, just share it across social media, and please help me grow my channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.